The people of the state of New York versus Anne Marie O'Grady. Before I get into the specifics of the case, I just want to define exactly what computer trespassing is. Computer trespass falls under New York Penal Law 156.10, and it states that a person is guilty of computer trespass when he or she knowingly uses, causes to be used, or accesses a computer service, or computer network without authorization, and 1, he or she does so with an intent to commit or an attempt to commit or further the commission of any felony, or 2, he or she thereby knowingly gains access to computer material. Computer trespass is a Class E felony. Okay, so what exactly does computer trespassing have to do with this case? Well, in this case, O'Grady, the defendant, was actually found guilty of computer trespass in violation of New York Penal Law 156.10. She appealed her conviction, claiming that the evidence was not sufficient to support the conviction, and that the trial court improperly admitted testimony into evidence, and she also claimed that the trial court improperly limited the defendant's cross-examination of a witness. The facts. So you may be wondering, how exactly did O'Grady get herself into this trouble? What exactly occurred? So let me give you the background information. So this all started on August 26, 1996, where a woman by the name of Kathleen Alston waltzed into the Upstate Federal Credit Union in a village of Liverpool. Alston scolded at a worker by the name of Denise Goslin, asking her to stay away from her husband. She also used some profane language. Goslin did not know Alston, but she remembered her from some pictures she had seen. Turns out that Alston was Goslin's boyfriend's separated spouse. So Goslin did her own little investigation, and she learned that Alston didn't have an account with the credit union. So now the big question was, how did Alston know what Goslin worked? How did she get this information? So Goslin contacted her boyfriend, which is also Alston's husband at the time, and he informs her that Alston's maiden name is O'Grady and that her sister Anne Marie O'Grady was employed by the State Department of Taxation and Finance. So Goslin put 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 together, and she figured that this incident needed to be reported to the department. Obviously, Anne Marie O'Grady had snooped into her business and given it to her sister. The investigation. The Office of the Inspector General of the department conducted an investigation, and they found that on August 26th, the same day that Alston approached Goslin at her job, on the same day, various department computer records relating to Goslin's father, mother, and brother, as well as other individuals carrying the same last name, were accessed. This information was accessed without authorization, despite the fact that these family members had no outstanding tax issues at the time. It was O'Grady's login and employee identification that were used to access these records, and the icing on the cake was that O'Grady was actually working that day. So she couldn't lie and say that someone else was using her information because she was at work that day. And that's also the same day that her sister approached Goslin about the affair with her husband. Despite what O'Grady claimed happened during her trial, the court affirmed the conviction. They found the evidence was legally sufficient. They found that there was a valid line of reasoning, and they found that there were permissible inferences, all of which led to the conclusion reached by the jury. A major piece of evidence in this case that led to the Supreme Court affirming the conviction is that on the same day that Alston confronted Goslin is the very same day that O'Grady accessed Goslin's tax records without authorization. Is this a coincidence? Absolutely not. The judgment of the trial court was affirmed. The trial court indeed properly admitted evidence that served as background to explain material fact, to provide a complete picture of events, and to establish a motive. The obvious motive here was that Alston used the fact that her sister had access to confidential and sensitive information to her advantage, and she wanted to humiliate, embarrass, or damage Gosling in any way that she can, or her family members, and invade their privacy, because she was obviously upset that Gosling was having an affair with her husband. The conclusion. O'Grady was charged with 4 counts of the crime of computer trespass in the violation of Penal Law 156.10. She was convicted as charged by a jury and sentenced to a 3-year conditional discharge. She was ordered to pay a $1,000 fine on each of the 4 counts. The moral of this story is that it is illegal for one to knowingly gain unauthorized access to a computer network or service with the intent or to make an attempt to commit or further commission a felony. This is exactly what happened in this case. O'Grady gave confidential information from her job that she was trusted with to her sister Alston with malicious intent. So this case is a great example of what computer trespassing is, and a great example of what could happen if you are convicted and found guilty of computer trespassing.